This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. At this point, it's hard to say what the EU's tariffs on imported Chinese-made EVs will look like when they're finalized in November because it keeps changing them. It once again lowered the proposed rates for Tesla and Geely. Tesla has now gone from a roughly 21% tariff to 9% and now to 7.8%. Geely is now at 18.8% and has also dropped 2 times from a high of 20%. It says it made the adjustments after taking into account additional information provided by the companies. But the European Commission has also faced pushback on the tariffs, not just from automakers and suppliers, but whole countries as well as the Chinese government. Reuters reports that China ministers offered to negotiate with regulators over the tariffs, which China has called, quote, typical protectionist behavior. Germany and its auto industry are the ones probably pushing the hardest against the Chinese import tariffs because they have a lot to lose. Not only do a number of German automakers build and import vehicles from China, but China is also a big source of their sales and revenue. And right now, sales of German car brands in China are sliding as customers are choosing domestic automakers more and more. That's part of the reason BMW just lowered its profit forecast for the year. Not only does it expect a slight decrease in sales, but also an EBIT margin of 6 to 7%, which is down from 8 to 10%. It says a recall of a braking system played a role as well, which impacted 1.5 million vehicles and resulted in a delivery stop and additional warranty costs. But BMW's slide in China is not just limited to cars. Its motorcycle sales have been hit as well. It's also lowering its profit forecast for motorcycles due to more competition in China and the US. But in an effort to gain more appeal with Chinese customers, Western automakers are adopting Chinese EV platforms. Stellantis has partnered with Leapmotor, VW with Xpeng, and Audi signed a development cooperation with SAIC. Car News China reports that the head of that Audi SAIC project says it will unveil its first car in November and it will go on sale in China in the second half of next year. That's about all we know for now. But in one other bit of Audi news, it says the A6 Sportback e-tron is the most aerodynamic vehicle in its history. Its coefficient of drag is rated at 0.21, which is not world-beating, but puts it high on the list. But one of those domestic brands that Chinese consumers are choosing more and more is BYD. And now Morgan Stanley reports that BYD executives say it's aiming to sell 4 million vehicles this year, which would have made it the 8th largest automaker in the world last year behind Ford and Honda. That's also an increase of 11% from BYD's own initial sales forecast at the beginning of the year. The jump is mainly coming from plug-in hybrids. Not only does it have a backlog of a couple of models, but it's also launching its next-gen PHEV technology right now. To hit 4 million vehicles, BYD will have to sell nearly 420,000 vehicles a month for the rest of the year.
Developing today's vehicles. Issues can happen in an instant. When's the best time to solve a problem? The minute you know you have one. Meet Wireless NeoVi Cloud, your secure, off-the-shelf solution empowering real-time collaboration for quick resolution. With Wireless NeoVi Cloud, your team can prevent issues before they can escalate. Driver communication data and remote diagnostics to analyze and resolve your problems using OTA, allowing your executives oversight throughout the process. Wireless NeoVi Cloud, your vehicle update solution in production and on the road. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.
Last month, General Motors integrated its electric commercial van company, BrightDrop, into Chevrolet. That allows it to take advantage of Chevy's large dealership network, which it hopes will help boost sales. And to help meet that expected demand, GM is going to boost production. Canadian Union Unifor says the automaker has committed to adding a second shift at its CAMI plant in Ontario in early 2025. But so far, it's been a slow ramp-up for the BrightDrop van since it first went into production in late 2022. At one point, battery shortages idled production for 6 months. Then production resumed in April, but only on one shift. GM and Unifor also began contract talks this week, and their current 3-year deal expires next week. So by adding another shift at CAMI, GM is likely trying to avoid any labor disputes. Intel is considering selling part of its stake in Mobileye. The company, which makes software for self-driving vehicles, has struggled the last several years due to automakers reducing production. Last month, Mobileye cut its revenue and operating income forecasts, and it's on track to post an annual loss for the 3rd straight year. Shares of Mobileye fell to a record low after news broke about Intel selling its stake. Intel currently owns 88% after offloading part of its stake in Mobileye last year, which raised $1.5 billion. Now it's considering selling more either on the public market or to a third party. But with Mobileye's struggles, it could be difficult to sell this time around. EV startup Rivian is launching its first referral program to help boost sales. The company is offering a $750 credit to both the Rivian owner who makes the referral and to the new buyer. The credit can be used to buy products at Rivian's online store or even for a vehicle purchase. Both also receive 6 months of free charging at Rivian charging sites, and Rivian is offering an adventure weekend to the first 100 owners who make 25 referrals. The referral program is only for U.S. customers now, but it will be expanded to Canada next year. Tesla and Lucid also have referral programs, and analysts say they're appealing because they're less expensive than traditional advertising campaigns. 2 years ago, Mercedes invested in U.S.-based battery company Factorial to develop solid-state batteries. And now the companies say they'll be ready for production by the end of the decade. The new battery, called Solstice, has an energy density of 450 watt-hours per kilogram, which is 40% higher than its current batteries and is expected to boost an EV's range about 80% over today's average. But Mercedes is not alone. Stellantis and Hyundai have also invested in Factorial. They're interested in solid-state batteries because the higher energy density allows them to reduce the size of the battery pack, and fire risks are also lower. However, up till this point, producing the batteries in volume has been harder than expected. And that brings us to the end of today's show. Thanks for tuning in.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering boost your game. MEDC, where Michigan businesses are powering the future of mobility. And by Teijin Automotive Technologies, the formula for better mobility.
Electric vehicle economy.
Forget the political noise. EVs mean good American jobs. Tens of thousands of manufacturing jobs. Right here, right now in Michigan. And more on the way with billions in new investment. Want those jobs in China instead? We don't. We're the American EV Jobs Alliance. We say electric vehicles are a big part of the future. And we want those jobs in America. So remember, when politicians bash EVs, America loses. Paid for by the American EV Jobs Alliance.
Performance that shines, even in the rain. That's what really matters. Bridgestone Potenza tires, improved grip in wet conditions.
When we did our research for the talent that we need for this program, Michigan was really the top of the list. In order to be successful in this space, you really have to have the right people, the right mindset, the right environment.
There's nothing wrong with heavy metal.
Hey, lighten up.
But with world-class composite material, Teijin Automotive Technologies makes vehicles lighter, safer, and more eco-friendly.